Ace Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Not Alone podcast. I'm Sam Fredrickson.
And I'm Jason Moitoso.
And before we get started digging into this week's subject, we just want to take a quick minute and thank all of you, every single person listening here. We have had a truly banner week. So far, it's still only Wednesday. So far, we've had over 3,500 downloads this week alone. We've broken 10,000 total downloads, and our goal for the month, which was 2,000 downloads total, currently we're sitting at about 6,400. So
y'all are killing it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I don't want to spend too much time on the numbers or anything like that. I do that on Twitter all the time, and I feel bad. I feel like people think I'm bragging or anything. I'm not bragging. If I'm bragging about you, because whoever you are, you're amazing, and we love you so much. So,
absolutely. I'm actually gonna have to put a real effort into this now.
Yeah, he's actually stepping up. And that's not fair. He's been stepping up since week 3. Week 1 and 2, not so much.
I don't remember.
Do you feel like that's fair? I feel like that's.
What was
fair.
that?
That was
Crisis Apparitions,
Spirits and Apparitions, and Rendlesham.
Rendlesham? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I just kept doing all the notes and being like, hey, man, you have a chance to look at the notes? Hey, man, when are we going to record? And you're like, I'll get around to it. I don't know, whenever. And I'm like, okay, man. All right, I'm just trying to build this thing. It's just like my baby here, but it's fine. And now you're like...
And I'm like the baby's uncle.
You are like
I care
the baby's
sometimes.
uncle.
But I hand it right back over to you.
That's fair.
Just like this.
Again, I'm proud of all of our listeners, and I'm so grateful to all of them. We probably have a few more people listening to this episode than normal just because of our great interview with Hillbilly Horror Stories last week. Again, if you haven't heard that yet, check them out. They're amazing. And if this is your first or one of your first episodes of Not Alone, welcome, and we hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely. And Sam, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about something that terrifies, and it makes me feel bad inside. And it literally...
You're starting to sweat just thinking about it.
I am.
And you're getting all worked up just thinking about what we're talking about today.
Yes, I am. So what we're talking about, what has haunted my dreams, not just for the last week, but for the last 3 years. Today we're talking about the Beast of Bray Road. Now, there are going to be a few listeners out there who... probably a good amount who know about the Beast of Bray Road. In passing, it's a very popular cryptid, especially in its home area.
Sam, what's a cryptid?
A cryptid, good question. A cryptid, it's an animal that is not currently known to science or traditional zoological methods. And that's the thing. The thing about the Beast of Bray Road, and especially what we're going to be talking about, has a commentary.
Very fringy.
It's very fringy, but it has a commentary on skepticism. And it is totally good and natural to be skeptical. We have to be. But when you look at this instance and then as well at the larger picture we're going to try to present, we hope that you do so with an open mind. So let's get started. The Beast of Bray Road, in summary, just the bare bones of it, it is an upright canine creature. It's a bipedal creature that looks very much like a wolf that has been spotted on Bray Road, which is a road in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. And it is
named after the Bray family.
Yes, after
farm
the Bray
area.
farm. They have a farm there. And it is one of literally dozens, if not hundreds, of reported
humanoid wolf things.
Upright unknown canines, UUCs. One of hundreds of them. And we are just going to focus on the Beast of Bray Road right now. But we've got a little announcement at the end of the episode as well about next week's show that should, if you're interested, should make you pretty happy. So my very first thing that I want to say here, we know what a werewolf is. And this is, I just gave this lecture about skepticism and all that. We do know that werewolves do not exist. Your typical man changing into a wolf That's not.
Well,
and then changing
hold
back.
on, Sam. We're gonna flip sides for a second here, but werewolves are cool.
That's a
that's
good
that's my
argument.
counter argument.
That's a good-
Is werewolves are cool?
I guess-
Why not?
Okay, I guess what I'm saying here.
Why is that the line you draw?
That's fair. I do not know if werewolves exist or not. I'm going to say that instead. I really am not in the position to say one way or the other something does or does not exist for sure. Or, well, certainly not that something doesn't exist. So I will say that werewolves may exist, but what we're going to be talking about tonight is not a werewolf.
Are you sure?
I am sure. The Beast of Bray Road is an unknown upright canine. It's a wolf man instead of a werewolf.
So, the Beast of Bray Road.
We're going to go ahead and launch into it here.
Mhm.
As we just covered, the Beast...
Or leap into it.
Stop it.
All right.
Okay. I'm just kidding. Be who you want to be. You're beautiful.
I just want to dig my claws into this, man.
Okay. Now stop it. So, while the Beast of Bray Road is exciting, it is not the first unknown upright canine or wolfman to be witnessed in Wisconsin. The first sightings of that actually happened in 1936, from what we can tell.
Most modern accounts.
Now, that story is one of a man named Mark Shackleman. He was driving home late one night on Highway 18, which is just east of Jefferson, which, it should be noted, is just about 40... Jefferson is about 40 miles north of Elkhorn. So, roughly the same area. Now, he passed by an old Indian mound, and these mounds are great structures of earth. I'm sure that a lot of our listeners in different parts of the country will be familiar with them. We don't have any of them here in Idaho as far as I can tell, but they're great structures of earth, much like artificial hills that were made by Native Americans in pre-European times. Many times these were used as burial places. Other times they were there to denote a sacred site. In any case,
They were spiritually significant.
And in any case, what he saw was someone who appeared to be digging into one of these Indian mounds. And that, as you might be able to tell, is not your best thing to do.
Yeah, that's just asking for some bad juju.
Mm-hmm. Bad juju indeed. So he sees this happening and he says, okay, what's going on here? And he slows down to get a better look at what's happening. He slows as he approaches it, and he realizes that what he's seeing on the mound is not human in nature. He describes it as being covered in hair. He said it had twisted claws and a muzzle that looked like a wolf's muzzle, a wolf's snout. It had 3 long fingers with sharp claws on the end of each of them on each hand, and it also had what appeared to be opposable thumbs. The beast stank with a putrid stench, which he had described as like a rotting meat. And
Man, he must have been pretty close.
he was fairly close enough to see it at least. And as he got closer to it, the beast stopped digging, and it looked at him. At that point, it had been kneeling digging, but then it stood up on 2 legs and just stared him down, basically, and he just hightailed it out of there. Shackleman was intrigued, obviously. Any of us would be, but he also had the guts to back it up. So he actually goes the next night as well. He returns to the same spot, and he sees the beast again, and this time he actually, like I said, he's got guts. He gets out of his car, and he starts walking towards it.
Nope.
Nope. Terrifying.
Yeah. I don't know if it was guts or stupidity.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Anyway,
God bless you, Mark Shackleman. As he approaches it,
checking out a wolf creature.
he sees even more detail, and one of the big things is, well, 2 of the big things. So one is that this beast had a very broad chest, and it actually had visible shoulders. So anybody...
Atomically, it's not the same as a normal dog. Though.
Yeah. Anybody who knows anything about animal physiology, if you have a dog, just look at them right now. Just stare at them for a few seconds. Don't tell them why. and look at the way that their arms come together to their body, they do not have your typical shoulders. And that's why when a dog begs for food, its hands are always in front of it. It never like holds its arms out and you know.
Right. They don't have the physiology to do so.
Mhm.
Their muscles aren't designed to do that.
Mm-hmm. But
They're also not designed to stand and walk around on
That's
two legs
true.
a lot, like as a preferred method of travel.
That's
so
true.
we have some weird things going on with this possible dog thing.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that takes it away from just being like an animal. Hey, maybe it stood up on two legs for something. I mean, dogs do that, wolves do that, but this was physiologically different. The other thing that's...
And I'm sure he knew it wasn't like a bear, right?
Oh, yeah. The second thing is that the creature's legs appeared to be like backwards. So again, sit back, look at your dog, and you'll notice that its ankles obviously jet out from the back and then go back
Isn't
into
that called
the
haunches or
leg.
something like that, isn't it?
His haunch? No, I think the haunch is more of like the upper back thigh.
Their leg makes an S-like shape.
Yes, exactly.
It's not like our legs.
Yeah, and it's because some people describe it as the knees having reverse knees, but in reality it's just that that's their ankles.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, A, this is not a normal wolf, and B, from that alone, it doesn't really appear to be like a human dressed up in a costume or something like that. We wouldn't be able to make that. I mean, I'm sure if we really wanted to, we could make that work. It's not like he's just seeing something
Not
that
easy
looks
to do, probably in the
1930s. Yeah. He walks towards it, and the beast locks eyes with him, and he begins to say Gadara over and over. The beast does. And it's this deep, throaty, guttural thing, but Mark actually describes it as being a human-like noise. It's not like when your dog whines, or I'm sure we've all seen Siberian Huskies talk on YouTube and stuff like that. This was actual distinct words. He kept saying it over and over, and it appeared to be kind of advancing toward Shackleman. Shackleman starts praying. He backs away, and then somehow or another, he doesn't really say, but the beast ends up disappearing. Doesn't say if he just like, boom, he's out of existence, or he runs off into the forest. But anyway, the beast is gone.
So what's Gadara?
That's a good question. I'm so glad you asked that, because I spent a little bit of time on that.
Okay.
There is only one reference to Gadara that I could find anywhere. Now, and again, I spent maybe 15, 20 minutes just Googling it. But the one reference that I found was actually to a story in the New Testament. And Gadara is an area that Jesus goes to, and he meets a demon-possessed man. And the man had been bound with chains, and they had been broken, and he cut himself with stones, and he'd scream all night. And it's a very famous line from the Bible. Jesus says, like, what's your name? And he says, we are legion because we are many. A legion in ancient Roman times is 6,000 men would be one legion. So
I saw Ghost Rider.
yeah, right? So once they're exercised, they go into these pigs, and then the pigs drown themselves in the river. So
Not what happened on Ghost Rider.
no, very different. You know, who's to say what that means in the bigger sense? I have like this little crazy part of me that's like, what if we are looking at something
What if all those
or something like that?
wolfmen are just those souls from Legion?
Yeah, exactly. What if it's something like that? But it's probably nothing. I just wanted to bring it up. I think that's a super cool little historical
that's pretty
tidbit.
interesting. So if we break down those sightings, I'm assuming that mound's probably in a little bit of a clearing then.
Yeah, I believe there was a like a tree line before it,
Uh-huh.
behind it. I couldn't find the actual mound. I tried to look for mounds near Highway 18, but there's mounds all over Wisconsin.
Okay, so there are some possible locations it could have slipped away.
Oh yeah.
Without being noticed.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
saying it like clicked out of existence by any means, but it was gone one way or the other.
Still super interesting. I wonder if it was looking for something.
Right. Well, that's definitely one of the theories. And again, we'll get into all that here at the end, but
That was probably one of the earliest sightings that we have. I know we have a couple more. What
Yep.
else are we talking about now?
well, the other two, I just have two more.
Mhm.
They're very tame compared to that. Essentially, both of them, one of them takes place in 1964. The other one takes place in like I want to say it's like 1970 something. The first one is just a man named Dennis Fewless who was driving along Highway 89 at midnight. He noted
Is this still the Wisconsin area?
Yes, yeah. These actually all three of these took place in or near Jefferson.
Okay, and Jefferson is how far away from the Bray Road?
40 miles.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we have a fairly decent range.
Yes. He simply saw something cross the road on two legs. As he got closer to it, he saw that it was a wolf man, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The wolf man jumped over a barbed wire fence and into a cornfield. When he went back the next day, he couldn't find any tracks, but what he did find is that, and when I say jumped. It like cleared the fence and then landed in the cornfield. And what he found was the corn was undisturbed near the end of the cornfield, but then, a few feet in, there was just a big impact point. And then from there, it carved a trail through that the wolf.
He didn't get any prints.
He didn't get any prints, no.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Do you know what time of year that was?
I don't. I would say with the cornfield and tall corn description, probably in the fall.
Okay. One reason why I was curious is because how could the ground harden that much?
Right.
That's my biggest question.
Yeah, I
mean, it just of course depends on climate and everything like that, but it's a little weird.
It's definitely a little weird. The whole thing's a little weird.
Yeah.
And then the final Jefferson account, and this one, I think I misspoke a little earlier. It's not just a normal account. This one's it's like scary. This one is from a woman who she's unidentified, but she called 911.
Oh, yes, this one.
Yeah, and she reported that someone was attempting to break into her home. The police showed up. No one was there, but there were deep scratches on the door and the outside wall of the home. A few weeks later, it happened again, and this time the woman caught sight of the creature, which she claimed was 8 feet tall, had the face of a wolf, covered in dark hair with long, sharp claws. It tried to get into the house for a few minutes, realized it couldn't, and it went... This is probably the freakiest thing about it to me. It went to hide in her barn. Like... It seemed to assess the situation and then like crept towards the barn, and it stayed there for a few minutes until the horse started freaking out, and he gashes the horse. Thankfully doesn't get on
its back, right?
Yeah, it's on his back. The horse doesn't die, but the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resource investigated and recorded a paw print that was over a foot long, a canine paw print over a foot long on her property. So
that's just weird.
It's just strange.
It's really, really strange. I mean, black bears, when they stand up on their hind legs, they get possibly up to 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and a bear track's much different from a wolf track.
Oh yeah. I'm not blatantly saying it's a bear, but I'm just piecing together why it's weird, because it looks like a wolf. It's as big as a bear, but it acts kind of like a raccoon.
Yeah, that's fair. It is like a scavenger in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's trying to hide out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird combination of behaviors
for
an animal of that size.
Yeah, man, it's strange.
That's weird.
So
weird stuff we got going on in Jefferson.
Yep, that's the.
Let's not visit Jefferson.
We're gonna visit.
We can go to Bray Road.
We're gonna go all over Wisconsin because they are.
Can we at least get some cheese?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay,
of course.
Cool.
So that's the background for the Beast of Bray Road.
Right.
Those are, some of the wolfmen, or maybe all the same wolfman of Wisconsin.
Yeah, because, I mean, wolves do travel pretty far distances, especially males.
Yeah.
Especially males that have been kind of kicked out or removed from packs.
Mm-hmm.
They can travel very, very far distances. So to say a 40-mile range is not unheard of.
So Bray Road, the Beast of Bray Road, has been a staple in the folklore of southern Wisconsin ever since the late 80s and early 90s, where there was just a flap of sightings. Just a lot of people saw it. And we'll get into those stories here in a moment, but I think what we should reiterate here is the description of the creature, and it matches almost perfectly with the other three accounts. It's a wolf-like creature. To be completely blunt, it's a wolf standing on its hind legs. Like, that's what it first appears to be.
It's a humanoid wolf. Atomically, I mean, we're talking about a creature that is humanoid.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is.
In body structure. It's not a creature that would prefer being on fours. That being said,
right,
there's accounts where it is on all fours, but it has a body structure for more upright use of their arms and legs.
Yeah, it has that wide chest. It has the visible shoulders.
Yeah, it's a developed system.
Yep. And it is reported by the modern, even more modern witnesses. They all pretty much clock it at about 7 feet tall. It's described as having grayish, brownish hair, fangs, and pointed ears, which is another thing that you don't get from bears. And then, of course, its face is long with a definite and pronounced snout. It matches up with those previous Wisconsin Wolfman sightings pretty much to a T. Apart from the physical aspect, there's also the other aspect, which is that people who saw this creature, both Shackleman, the fella driving his car, as well as the woman whose home it attacked, whose name we'll never know, they all said that beyond it being weird and unnatural, there was a feeling of evil, like, that came from it, and a sort of intelligence. And especially in Shackleman, I mean, it looked at him and it tried to speak to him and it started to approach him. So this is not just some wild animal that just happens to walk on two legs. It has the intelligence of something greater, or at least that's what the witnesses report.
Yeah, that's what we get conveyed.
Mm-hmm. So the official sightings began in 1989 in this little flap. The story first broke and became headlining news in 1991, which is when Linda Godfrey, a reporter and a cartoonist who was working for The Week, which is a defunct, well, now defunct newspaper that was based out of nearby Delavan, she had heard rumors of the beast floating around the community for probably about 2 years, ever since that first 1989 sighting. And by her own admission, she says, well, it's a slow news week. We'll just run with
it'd be
this,
kind of fun.
I guess. Yeah, it'll be a fun time. New Year's coming. Everybody's getting all excited there. And before this, she was totally skeptical. Like, even hearing the rumors, she was like, well,
sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
all
whatever.
Right.
Just something to write about. Like I said, she was a cartoonist as well. So, something to write about, something to draw. But as she gets further, deeper and deeper in, it gets a little bit...
She finds these genuine accounts.
Mm-hmm.
At least they seem to be very genuine.
Yeah, the people that she talks to are all
and
authentic.
Pretty abundant, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, beyond the earlier sightings, which I think she learned about after, she was getting... like a lot of reports. It started with just 2 or 3 in the actual article. The article was published December 21st, 1991. After that, and that had like 3 accounts, maybe 4. After that, she got like another 5 or 6 just rolling in, and all from real normal people. So in that article...
Yeah, not like you and I.
No, we'd be terrible witnesses. I have such a huge confirmation bias for the Beast of Bray Road. It's ridiculous. I cannot be trusted.
You heard it here first, guys. But we all kind of knew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So in this article, Godfrey accounts her experience chasing down the stories, basically. Mm-hmm. And it starts with a humane officer, the county humane officer, whose name was John Fredrickson. No relation. I am not related to him. I think. Maybe I am. Maybe I was meant to do this. Maybe this is my destiny.
Maybe you're reading into things a little bit too much.
Confirmation bias. She talks with this county humane officer. His name's John Fredrickson. And he actually has a manila folder that is labeled Werewolf. And it is just full of index cards of sightings. And a few of them are actual sightings. There's like one of like a Burger King employee who's, I don't know if he's closing up, having a smoke. It's late at night anyway. He's outside. And he sees something just dash across the road really quick. Other ones have to do with just animal tracks. There were ones that had people who would be like driving in their car and they saw it chasing a deer and it was on 2 legs and the deer was not on 2 legs. But nothing super concrete. Now, however, through the grapevine, Linda found 2 other witnesses with full-blown sightings to report. Both of the witnesses... One was a 26-year-old working mother. The other was a high school student. They decided to use pseudonyms when telling the story to Linda. So in the first publication, one of them was named Barbara. The other one was named Pat. We now know that the one named Barbara, her name was actually Lorraine. The one named Pat, her name was actually Doris. And so that's how we'll refer to them from here on out. Now, the first one that came forward or that talked about it was Lorraine. Now, her sighting took place on Bray Road as she was driving home one night. She saw a form on the side of the road, and it had its back to the road. And as she approached it, she kind of slowed down to get a better view of it. As she slows down, again, its back's to the road, but because she's coming at it from a side, she can see like elbows that are out, and she can catch a glimpse of its claws and see its hands going up to its mouth and coming down and up and down as if it's eating something.
Like eating watermelon.
Sure, man.
I'm picturing a watermelon.
I can dig it. I'm sure it was actually like roadkill, but it could be watermelon.
Or a watermelon.
All right, why not? That's fair. That's fine with me.
It's a better image.
As she gets right behind it, she's going pretty dang slow at this point. She gets right behind it, and it snaps its head around, and she sees big, glowing yellow eyes, fangs, a long snout, and sharp, pointed ears, and she just drives away. She doesn't even care what it is at that point. She's just getting out of there. And it wasn't until later when she heard of Doris's story, which happened, I think, 2 years later, actually on Halloween that year in 1991, when she...
Of course it did.
Right. When she actually decided to look stuff up and take a look, and she found in the public library a book of a werewolf, or a book of fairy tales and stuff, with a picture of a werewolf, and she brought this to her interview with Linda, and she just pointed at that picture, and she said, "That's what I saw. Like, that's what was kneeling by the road, eating, using its hands to eat."
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, unlike a normal wolf would. Now, the other sighting, like we mentioned, was Doris. What she said is that she was driving also along Bray Road on Halloween, and she felt her vehicle lurch as if it had come up off the ground and then back down on. Yeah, exactly. And she had been changing the radio station when this happened and taken her eyes off the road for just a moment, and she just got out of the car, and she was just like, "Oh crap, I probably hit a deer,
yeah.
I probably hit, a poor little bunny rabbit or something like that," and she's looking for it to try to find it to see if she can help it. And in the background of her life, she hears just, and she looks around her and she sees this form just barreling towards her. Huge broad chest, yellow glowing eyes, long snout, fangs just glistening, and its footsteps are just making a pounding noise. She said it must have been huge. It must have been extremely heavy. And she jumps in her car. She starts to drive off when the beast jumps on her car and holds on to the back of it. Now, thankfully, it was a dark and stormy night, and the car was quite wet from going through mist and a little bit of rain and stuff like that. And it essentially just fell off. But it had scratched the car, and there were long gashes across the car. And, of course, she had reported it as being on 2 legs.
3 fingers?
It doesn't say.
3 claws? Doesn't say. We
No.
don't have any images.
Yeah, we don't have
Darn.
any images, unfortunately. I would love to see them. But
Yeah.
you know what? If Linda saw them,
Or the car.
they're good for me. Yeah, the car would be nice. But this was before, people had cameras, but it wasn't like you had your cell phone where you just
Right. Just
snap
click.
a pic. But again, it had been running on 2 legs. She described it as faster and bigger than any wolf or dog she had ever seen. And she says during an interview, probably the one of my favorite quotes, I actually posted it on the Instagram earlier this week. She says in the interview, "I'm not going to say it was a werewolf. I'd say it was a freak of nature, one of God's mistakes." Isn't that hardcore? Now, later that evening, it's still Halloween. That hadn't been too late in the night. She is enlisted to pick up her mother's boyfriend's daughter. And to get there and back, she takes Bray Road. Now,
Wait, what?
well, you gotta think. She's probably driven down Bray Road 100,000 times.
Right.
She probably doesn't think of it as anything weird. But she picks up the little girl. She's bringing them home. The girl's 11. And the girl shouts. She says, "Wow, look at that." And Doris looks at that. And she saw the beast kneeling by the side of the road, eating something. And
Again.
she gunned it home.
God, I like that watermelon.
I'm pretty sure it's a dead raccoon.
Oh, it totally is. But I imagine it like picking it up and eating it like we would a slice of watermelon, just like getting in there, you know?
That's fair. That's fair. And she took it home, and she said in the interview that she just doesn't drive down Bray Road anymore.
Yeah.
Don't blame her.
Second time's the charm there.
Again, in the article itself, which we'll post in our show notes, there's a great link to it where you can read the whole thing. There's a few other stories that are just like, oh, I saw a form, oh, I saw a shape, oh, I saw some tracks.
But these were the most well-described sightings,
and
you can say.
This last one that we're going to do from the article is the scariest one. So this one was in that same time period. I think this one was actually in 1989 as well.
Okay.
It's told to Linda by a woman named Karen Bowery. She was the first person to say, I don't care if people say I'm crazy. I don't care if people make fun of me. Like, this is important. People need to know that this is real. And so she's describing something that her 11-year-old daughter, Heather Bowery, told her one day. Heather told her that she and a friend were playing near a local stream, and they looked up and they saw a dog sitting down in it. And, you know, kids, they love dogs. They love pets. They love playing with
Why
things.
not? Yeah.
Why not? And so they automatically assume, oh, it's just a little dog. It's probably someone's pet, because these are sweet, beautiful, innocent children who haven't had to look terror right in the face yet. And they start walking.
Give it about 5 seconds.
Right. They start walking closer to it.
And they realize it's really big.
Yeah, they're calling out to it. Here, doggy, come on. They want to look at its collar and see, okay, whose dog is this? And they do. They realize two strange things. The first one, like you said, it's huge. Like, it is bigger than the biggest dog they've ever seen by a good amount. And then the second is that the creature's not sitting down. It's hunched over. They still go closer to it, even though they get the feeling...
Gosh, no, kids.
Kids are so brave. Or stupid.
Or both.
Stupidly brave. They continue to approach it. As they draw nearer, the beast stands up on all fours, and then they realize how big it really is. She states that the creature had a face like a coyote's, silver and brown hair covering its body. She said its back legs were shaped differently as a wolf as well. And suddenly, it gets up on two legs. And it starts walking towards them on two legs. And that's when they get their crap together and they start running away. And they run away, and she looks behind her at a certain point, and it's dropped onto two legs, and it is pursuing them. It is running after them, and she says that the way it moved was like how a dog would run, but with leaps. And they made it about halfway home, and the beast was gaining on them, and then for whatever reason, it just takes an abrupt left into a cornfield and disappears, and it actually is going the way towards Bray Road at that point. So, that's the article. That's what's haunting my dreams. There are a few more sightings.
I'm surprised I wasn't able to catch up with them.
Well, but that's the thing. No one gets hurt. Like, no one gets hurt.
That's and I think that's probably why the town where Bray Road is located has kind of accepted it into this community. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, they get a lot of attention right after this publication.
Yeah. And it goes
you have
national.
A ton. Yeah. So a lot of the businesses are supporting it, and the fact that it's not physical yet. It hasn't escalated physical violence. It's really interesting. It's
extremely strange that this thing, and again, just like everybody else, it should be noted. Heather says that the creature seemed evil, like evil, intelligent, terrifying.
Yeah, there's just something bad about it.
And yet it could have, man. I mean, it's this huge 7-foot tall beast bounding on all fours. It could have caught an 11-year-old, but for some reason it didn't.
Yeah.
And it seemed like right before it was about to, that's when it ran away. So you've got to say, like, why? Is it just getting its kicks, or is it doing something else?
Is it chasing things out of its territory?
Yeah. Well, that could be it as well.
I mean, when you think about it, obviously it has access to fresh water and fairly close to Bray Road. Now, the only real reason why I can think of to keep a creature there is access to food being real easy, food and water, of course. That and potentially like a lair
Yeah.
is all the only thing I can think
Some
of.
sort
Like,
of a home base.
you know, how to protect pups or something like that. Like that's a clear reason why an animal would stay into a particular area.
Yeah, especially one with such a. I mean, Elkhorn's not huge, but there is a human population. I mean,
Right. So
people
close
live
to
there.
people. Ease of food. I mean, roadkill.
Yeah, it doesn't even
We
have
have-
to hunt, really.
Right. So it just kind of depends. But because there's actually no physical contact with anything, it's feels like there might be something more possibly tethering it to it. To that location, maybe.
Yeah, and like you said, the town it's accepted it, and they had a lot of fun with it right after the article came out. Like local bars would have werewolf nights, and people would cruise. They would come up from Illinois, like by the busload, just to drive up and down Bray Road,
yeah.
just hundreds of cars.
Which eventually forced it to become a private road.
Yeah,
right?
it is,
Yeah.
and just as a note, right? I was going to do it at the end. If you live in that area, if you're ever going to that area, Bray Road is private land. Don't trespass. That's bad. Also, apparently, a lot of people like to steal the sign, which, if I was 16, would be cool. But like, come on, man, don't just don't.
Take a picture by the sign or
Yeah,
something.
take a picture. Well, don't even take a picture because I don't want you on the road because it's private land. So, Linda actually has some great like hiking trails that she can recommend and all that. I think that's on her website. So stick to that. Don't actually go on Bray Road. But they're just loving it in the town. They're eating it up. Now, unfortunately, with all the fun that's happening, of course, witnesses are being called crazy and nutters and all of that. But they're selling monster t-shirts. They're having werewolf nights. There's even in Linda's paper, there's an advertisement, a full-page advertisement for the Beast of Bray Road for president in 1992, and he talks about how he'll slash taxes and like devour, I don't know, something or another. It's amazing. But
which, of course, if this was anything violent at all, it'd be
never
completely
would have
opposite
happened.
direction.
Yeah. It's because there's no real harm in it. I mean,
it's like Nessie.
yeah,
Like no one's ever died from Nessie, so live it up a bit. Or the Lake Champlain monster. Both creatures that are rumored to exist, and the local town eats it up.
Yeah, we'll
It's
talk
fun
about
to talk about.
We'll talk about that more in our next Jason special. But in any case,
Whoa, is that why I brought it up?
that's a tease.
That's all I ever am.
Even as people are getting ridiculed, more witnesses come forward. They say, if she can tell her story, so can I. So one of them is actually Scott Bray, who owns the farm that the road is named for. And he describes, his is probably the least weird out of all the accounts, which is good, because if he had the craziest story, you'd probably, I mean, the case could be made that he maybe just jumped on the publicity train or anything like that, but I don't know Scott Bray. That's one of the things about Linda's article, is that everyone was so genuine. Like everyone she talked to who had an experience, she could feel their fear. She could tell that no one was just
right. And I mean, it sounds like a small town. I think that's I feel like small towns coincide with being genuine and not trying to get attention from some to be able to profit off of some sort of event.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel, small town.
Yeah, totally. People are, I mean, maybe we're romanticizing it. Maybe it sucks to live in a small town, but I think that it's probably pretty nice, and you can trust your neighbors, and you can, not have to be afraid.
Anyway, what was his account?
His account, he described seeing a strange, large, jet black dog, he says dog, walking through his pastures one day. Apart from the size of it, there's really nothing too unusual, but he starts following it anyway, and there's this large pile of rocks in the middle of the pasture that the dog walks around, and as he goes around it to follow him, the dog's gone. Like, it's a clear open pasture, there's no tree line, nowhere for it to go. And
it's like a ghost dog.
Yeah, it just disappears. Now, another man had a sighting as well. His name was Russell Geist, and it was right around the same time as Scott Bray's. He claimed that he had been walking along, he'd been close to an overgrown thicket, and he heard something come crashing through it. Just a moment later, there stepped a large black and gray wolf-like creature. The creature was walking bipedally. It took 2 steps towards Guest bipedally, and Guest began to run. After a moment, he turned back, and he realized that the wolf had dropped down. It was on all 4s, and now it was just staring at him. They just stared at each other for a minute or two. Then the creature wandered off in the direction of Bray Road. Now, he claimed that it had the broad shoulders, the actual shoulders. It had a big neck. He clocked it at about 5 feet tall, so that's still smaller than the 6 or 7 feet, 8 feet.
The common descriptions, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still larger than any other dog or wolf he had ever seen. Now, the last reported sighting in this flap of sightings actually takes place in February of 92, and it happens to a woman whose name is Tammy. Now, she's driving home from the retirement home where she worked when a large black and gray dog stepped out in front of her. The beast had an abnormally wide chest and appeared to have prominent shoulders. It also had that typical wolf-like face, which convinced her that it was not a normal dog. When she got home to tell her husband about it, her husband said, That's bizarre, because I'm pretty sure I saw that exact same thing 2 years ago on this farm that we own, my wife, Tammy Bray, as I am Scott Bray. Do you see what I did there? Suspense. They're married, and they both saw it.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to catch up on that and actually tell everyone who she was. I was like,
tease.
You forgot to mention her last name. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all on purpose.
Okay.
I think it went well.
Oh man, you're so good at things.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were married and they saw the same thing. Scott confirmed that was what he had seen
witnessed previously.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned that in his official report of what happened, he said that it was, apart from being large, it was unremarkable. However, now he's saying, it did have the shoulders, it did have the face. And again, we don't know Scott Bray, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other
if time skewed
his memory or if he had a little bit of confirmation bias himself. But that's the last one from that flap of sightings in 92.
Yeah, that era.
Definitely not the last one. And we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. Like we said earlier, the article went national. People were coming up. They were placing werewolf signs in their yard. I'm pretty sure it said werewolf crossing and beware of werewolf. However, around 92, and especially after the article, things did start to take a little bit of a darker turn as well. Even with these reports coming in of it being totally fine and no one's getting hurt.
Yeah, how so?
Well, it caused them to re-examine previous accounts. Now, one of those accounts came from the summer of 89, just 2 years previous. There was a report, and this one was investigated by John Fredrickson. They had found a ditch that was full of dead animals. Now, John stated that he had believed that the animals had been killed as a part of satanic cult activity. He stated as though the animals appeared to have been bound by their back legs while their throats were cut, and he found that certain animals actually matched the description of missing pets in the area.
Oh, man.
This is just a little gory.
Not Fido.
Here. I know, it's a little gory here, but just to let you, just so you can know what we're dealing with, it's not just, stab or a cut or anything like that. He found...
These are mutilations.
Yeah, missing dogs, missing cats that had been decapitated. Their chests were cracked open. Their hearts were removed. Not normal death. Not even roadkill death. Not it got hit by a car. And he said, hey, we got to investigate this. And then literally, well, not at the very same moment, but within days, they bulldozed it. He never got the chance to investigate it. They bulldozed over all the evidence, all the bodies. They just left them there.
Suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Now, other humane officers reported finding dead and mutilated animals, especially in the woods, after going after strays. And there was an abandoned home that had been covered in occult graffiti in the area. It had a makeshift altar constructed in one of the rooms, complete with black candles, and the house was just a quarter mile off of Bray Road. There was even a report from a child who was home alone. He said that there was a man in black who drove a black car who stopped by the home once his parents had left for the night to go out, have a date night or whatever. And he apparently knew that the child had a black lab, and he threatened the child and tried to intimidate him into giving him his dog. And the kid was like, no, this is my dog. I'm not giving you my dog. Another strange thing that happened is in January of 92, a reputable businessman told Linda, she didn't disclose his name, but he told Linda that he had witnessed strange lights in the sky moving erratically. And the summer after the article was published in 92, there were 4 or 5, it doesn't really say for sure, but 4 or 5 horses that were investigated again by John Fredrickson. The animals had all had their throats slit, and the wounds were described as surgical. This was the true end to the flap of sightings and evidence about Bray Road and about the beast. However, we still get new reports to this day. I think it's very interesting. So here's the thing.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Here's the thing about the satanic cult activity. That was probably a byproduct of the satanic panic in the 80s, where everybody thought that everyone was in a cult and that cults were meeting in the woods and sacrificing things.
Were they not?
They really weren't. No.
Okay.
Satanic ritual abuse really... I'm not saying that it never happened. Like, I'm sure there are people out there and...
It's not to that extent.
No, there may be people listening to this podcast who have gone through some sort of ritual abuse. And if that's the case, like, that's horrifying. And we're so sorry for you. And we're not trying to invalidate your experience. But the fact is, there was not nearly as much Satanism in the 80s as people thought there were. People just got really scared of it. And we'll probably do an episode on the satanic panic at some point. But...
Mainly because it rhymes.
It does. It is a catchy rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
But if you take out the satanic part of it and you keep the decapitated animals, the ripped apart animals, the missing pets, I mean, that just goes even further to there being something out there, something in the woods.
Something weird going on. Something goes bump in the night.
Exactly.
So, for me, it's... Okay.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and say it's real. There's something over there, which a lot of people definitely believe. So let's go ahead and say it's confirmed. It is a real thing. It's an event. It's a creature of some sort that lives off of Bray Road. It's very pinned down to that area, which is what I find to be the weirdest thing. I'm talking about essentially just the Bray Road simply because the other sightings that we had were from 40 miles away. They're also in the 30s, the 40s, the 60s. We're talking about the late 80s now with these sightings.
It would have to be an 80-year-old wolf.
Right.
50-year-old wolf at that point.
Which in dog years is a lot older than...
Is this the kind of show that we're running here?
I'm trying.
That's okay.
Anyway, at a 4-year span, I just find it incredibly interesting that we see most of these sightings at Bray Road. It feels connected to that location. So for me, it borders on the paranormal side or the more supernatural side than what it already is. Like, I just don't see it as being a full-blown creature.
Okay.
In the sense that, what we would classify as a bear or a wolf now.
Right.
It's something just really weird and really off going on. Now, with the cult thing, I mean, it makes a lot... It's too easy.
It's too Hollywood
it's too,
as well.
Yeah, it's too nicely wrapped up with it, If it's that simple, sweet.
Cool. Solved.
Yeah. But let's be honest, most things in life is not that simple.
Yeah.
What do you feel about this wolf man that lives on Bray Road?
Do you know the werewolf man?
The werewolf man?
The werewolf man. Do you know the werewolf man who lives down on Bray Road?
I hate you so
you can
much.
Make stupid jokes, so can I. Okay. Not a werewolf. Sorry, I just made that rhyme.
Hit me.
Wolfman?
Yes.
Man-wolf. Wolfen. Whatever you want to call them.
Humanoid wolves.
Humanoid wolves. Unknown upright canines. Absolutely. Oh God, I can never run for public office. They absolutely, positively exist.
I mean, you might be able to in, like,
100%. There is
New
not.
Zealand.
That's fair. They're a pretty easygoing people. Hello, Kiwis. We actually do have some Australian listeners. I don't know if we have any in New Zealand yet, but
That's crazy awesome.
it is crazy awesome. Anyway, they exist 100%. So to me, it's not a question of like, what is it? Because what is it is a wolf man. Now, the fact that it has this completely different anatomy, like we mentioned in the beginning, dogs don't have shoulders. They don't have broad shoulders. Or broad chest. They can't hold their arms out. They can't grab things with their arms.
Right, that's not what their limbs are mechanically used for.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that the Beast of Bray Road can means that to me, and this is a very well-known concept in the culture of wolfman research and sightings, there are two different types of wolfman. The first is just a wolf that appears to be walking bipedally. Bipedally? We've already had this conversation.
Yes, we have.
Oh, God. Bipedally. That's what we decided in the Jersey Devil.
That's
what we're going with here.
You decided.
I'm pretty sure it's bipedal. So that's the first one, just wolves walking bipedally, their arms out in front, just like your dog would when they would be begging. The second sighting, or the second classification of these being humanoid wolves, that's what I think this falls into. Now, the why is something that we cannot understand.
Yeah, and one of the biggest, sorry, I'm cutting you off there, but all the accounts classify it as being malicious. Like, you just had that feeling.
Yeah.
You don't get that feeling usually from an animal.
No, yeah.
It is incredibly rare if you do, and this is a constant thing from it, which is unsettling. And it makes me feel like maybe there is something, yes, I'm saying it, a little bit more supernatural about this particular incident. Yes, I'm throwing all caution to the wind and saying it's a weird spirit thing.
All right. We did it. Shut down the show. Jason is now a true believer.
I just can't explain it any other way.
You can't.
That's the problem.
It doesn't have to be.
It's tough to.
It doesn't have to be like a weird spirit thing or a multidimensional thing. It just has to be not a wolf on its hind legs. And that's exactly what it was. Now, to me as well, there is evidence, and we're not gonna go into it now, but I'll tell you here in a moment. There is a lot of evidence that these creatures are not fully flesh and blood. I mean, they may be, but they have the ability to disappear. Witnesses to these things they'll see them, but then if they try to take a picture, there's like a column of smoke. If they set up a trail cam and bait gets taken from the trail cam where wolfmen are in the area, it's just a column of smoke. These things have a little bit more to them than just being a flesh and blood creature. Personally, let's just go far out, man.
All right, go.
Personally, I don't even think it's something spiritual. I think it's something extra dimensional. I think that these creatures, so first off, I'm a huge believer, not necessarily in like the many worlds theory of alternate dimensions or parallel dimensions, but just of higher and lower dimensions as ours. Everything in the higher dimension we cannot see, and if we see it at all, we can only see it in a three-dimensional way because our mind can't comprehend four-dimensional objects. Science lecture. So what I believe is that these are creatures from a higher dimension that for whatever reason, they literally may have the same attitude towards us as the busloads of people from Illinois who came to drive up and down Bray Road. That might be their same exact attitude towards us, is that they pop into the third dimension, coordinates Earth, area Bray Road, just to see a human and just to scare a human and just to
yeah, man, because our screams power their cities.
This is Monsters Inc. That is truly, I know it sounds insane, and it might be, but that is truly my belief, is that they are multi-dimensional creatures that hop a ride on something, get here, whether it's a portal or it's good vibrations, bad vibrations, like that is where they come from.
What do you mean by vibrations?
Just,
what is a vibration? that you're referring to? I mean,
Well,
how do I catch that wave and surf it on
you
it?
know that we vibrate.
Yeah.
Our atoms and everything vibrate.
Everything's moving.
And if we're vibrating at the same consistency, like that's why...
Same frequency?
Yeah, that's why I can't put my hand through this table, because it's vibrating at the same frequency, so it's solid. However, if we were out of phase with these objects, we may be able to pass right through them, because technically, all that's happening is my atoms are hitting these atoms, but the atoms aren't a wall. There's space between them.
Right.
In theory, you could dip your hand right into it and dip it back out.
Right, but that's
if they were misaligned.
Right. That's if it was lined up perfectly for all your atoms to do that.
Right. So what
And
if
the tables.
What if these things can change their vibrational frequencies and pop into this world and then pop back out? That's what I mean there. And again, not super
At
brain
will.
science. At will. Yeah, dude, at will.
Crazy.
Fourth dimensional beings at least being able to do this at will. It may be good science, it may be pseudoscience. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I do know that we vibrate. Everything vibrates. I read something once about how to walk through a wall, and it wasn't real. That was what it said.
I mean, if
basically.
it ever happened for you.
It said, like, change your vibrational frequency to not interact with the molecules and the atoms in the wall. So to me, that's the what. As far as the why, who knows? We never will. We'll never know why. But the last point on that is that these creatures are seen, and when they're seen, they're, like I said, they give off that feeling of evil, but they also give off an air of superiority. That's something reported very commonly as well, where the creature will look at them and basically send them the signal telepathically or verbally or whatever
alpha.
That they are the alpha.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, just in wolf society alone, most time we're looking at a creature that's 7 to 8 feet tall.
They are truly
You will
the
get
alpha.
that feeling anyway.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Anything bigger than you, you will automatically feel that and want to kind of close yourself off.
Yeah.
So,
but they're intelligent.
Fair point. Yeah.
They're intelligent, and that's what it also boils down to.
At least they allude to having
intelligence.
intelligence.
Yeah. So there it is. Wolfmen, they're totally real.
Bray Road.
I'm pretty sure we're both afraid of them now. Are
You know-
you a little afraid?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm
that's
not
fair.
like afraid. That's the unfortunate thing. Like once I get to know creatures more and more and more, like then I become afraid. So like now that we've scratched the surface, I'm like, whatever. But if we started talking about like sharks, terrified of
Okay.
sharks.
All right.
Or snakes. I know quite a bit about both those creatures. Not particularly my favorite things in the world.
Not joys, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
All
right.
It's the 3 S's.
I can
Snakes,
I'm more
sharks,
afraid
and
than
spiders.
And I mean,
Those are horrible.
I think
that I don't live in Wisconsin, so it's like whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's the thing. So, okay, let's talk about this for a second. So, we just had a
Wolfman
great
sightings have been all over the
yes.
U.S.
Well,
Yeah,
we're not going to talk about that
Okay.
because I had no idea what I was going to do for my Patreon bonus special. And if you want to be in on it this time, you totally can be. You are invited to these things. You just never make the time. But I think that I'm just going to do...
Don't remember you specifically saying that I can be here for...
I said that on the
Akhenaten.
communion one. Oh, Akhenaten I did not know. Because our schedules didn't line up anyway. I think for our Patreon bonus episode this week, we are just going to do the history of wolfmen like in the United States. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I might do something else. But really kind of give you an idea about these creatures. And then next week's episode, we just finished recording an interview with none other than Linda Godfrey. So we spent an amazing hour with Linda just talking to her about the wolfmen, about the Bray Road, all of that, all of the crazy... Well, not crazy, but all of the
It was
theories.
fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, Jason had a great time. He actually, it's the most I've ever
enjoyed.
seen him talk during a recording session.
But yeah,
So-
it was a great interview experience.
Yeah,
At least that I had.
yeah. So that'll be next week. That'll be coming out on Thursday next week. Also, that's the other thing. If I can, I'm just going to try to get these all out on Thursday. I like that a lot more because typically I usually have them done by Thursday and then I just sit on them for a day. So why not? Now, we made a deal with you people.
You know what that means.
And you guys came through stunningly. Like,
Oh, boy.
seriously, this is crazy. We have 6 different reviews from this week.
This week alone?
This week alone. We have 6 different reviews. So I'm just going to jump through these here. The first one says, fun show by TJ Coney, or County, Couni. Anyway, he's the fella who actually hosts the Pints and Puzzles podcast that we shouted out last time. He says, great production. The hosts have an awesome dynamic and are able to convey a lot of information in an interesting and engaging way. If you like strange stuff, try this out. The second one is from Hallie Bean. She says, quit reading reviews and subscribe already. It says,
"Aw,
yeah, right." It says, this podcast capably fulfills all your listening needs. Sam and Jason have a great repertoire with one another, and the topics are well researched and presented. And then in quotation marks, even the ones about the chupacabras.
Yes,
with a winky face. Fantastic work. We have one from J. I want to say it's Just Shout Out X, or no, J Shout X. It's JESHOUTEX. So if that's you, let me know how to pronounce that. They said, perfection. If you love paranormal and unexplained mysteries, which I do, the hosts are amazingly knowledgeable and really funny. And then Dirty Customs says, huge fan, but I can't listen past 12. I think he means 12 a.m. midnight. He says, the listening has been informative and whimsical. I have been listening to one every night while doing housework. Some are free game, others I have to wait till the sun comes up because of the detail Sam and Jason go into. It scares me. The production is great along with the content, well done. And then he ends it, and I will tell you, I know this fella in real life. He ends it by saying, also, Sam has never seen Step Brothers, which is true. I've never seen Step Brothers. I don't care to see Step Brothers. I don't feel like that makes an impact on this podcast, but so be it. You know what? Dirty Customs, I know who you are.
Oh, he also informed me how much a kilogram was, which I was way off. For
who? Jonathan?
Gave it on? No.
Oh, Dirty Customs did?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So
yeah, Jonathan told me.
I was thinking it was gonna be like a wolf, kind of like the size of a large tiger or something. Mm-hmm. So clocking around 400 pounds. It's kilograms more like.
It's still large,
2.25 pounds.
Yeah, it's still large.
Still big, but
okay.
Not
so
as big as I thought.
Wrapping up that Step Brothers doesn't matter. I'm not gonna watch it. I refuse.
Time has passed.
I just won't do it. We have another one from Archatooth. He says, I heard the Hillbilly, which he then expands upon here. I listened to the interview on Hillbilly Horror Stories. Liked what I heard, so I decided to check you guys out. I like what I have heard so far. Keep the podcast coming with as much background and history as you can add in. Thanks, guys. You've gained another fan. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
And then our last one, we may have actually had 7, because our last one here is by Pam Hammer. She or he, I don't know. Could be a man or a woman. They say, a well-done mystery podcast. The hosts are fun to listen to and knowledgeable about some creepy subjects. I'm a fan. Isn't that nice?
Sweet.
Now, I know we're taking a lot of time to wrap up here. I know, but this is so important to me. This is so unbelievably important. We received our first letter. Yeah. Of fan mail, which I'm opening right now. Now, of course, I've actually opened it and read it before.
Wait, you've read this one? Oh, is this... Oh. Oh.
I'm going to post a picture of this on Instagram for anyone who wants to see it. So this is a letter from probably one of our biggest fans. Her name is Jaya, and she loves the show, so she decided she was going to write us a letter. And here it is. And if you need any context, go back and listen to the Tutankhamun episode. This letter says, I love it so much. Mr. Jason, my name is Jaya, and I am 9 years old. I know that the Mona Lisa is in the Louvre. Good luck with your art major. Sincerely, Jaya. And then she says, P.S. Please say hi to Sam for me. And has a smiley face and a heart, and then our logo drawn out. Savage.
She just ripped me apart.
You just got destroyed by a 9-year-old. Probably the smartest 9-year-old I know.
Probably.
But you really should know more about the Louvre. It's fine.
I'm not going to go back as an art major anymore.
Sure you are.
Nah, dude.
Not
Maybe
after
like
this.
marketing or something. Yeah, I can't have this floating around.
No one will ever
No
hire
art school will
you.
ever take me.
I love it. Jaya, thank you so much. We loved your letter. And if anybody else wants to send us fan mail or whatever, do it. I'll reach out to me, and if I can
That's
verify.
actually a pretty good little wolf.
I know, dude. The logo's amazing.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. Like I said, I'll post the actual picture of it on Twitter, or Twitter and Instagram and all that. Yeah, if you want to send us fan mail, do it. Let me know. If I can verify that you're not gonna come and get us, because I am a scared person, I will. I'll let you know where you can send anything like that. And even if you don't want to send us fan mail, if you just want to love us,
I have this
if
really
you want to listen to
sweet
us.
wolf mask.
What?
Yeah,
Terrible.
I know. I think I could reach outside your window.
Please don't. Oh God.
Well, keep that in mind.
You're not gonna do that.
No.
You don't like leaving your house any more than I like leaving mine. Thank you.
I love going outside, man.
All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Like I said, we had a banner week. Seriously, our best week ever since we started the podcast. You know where to find us. We're on Twitter at Not Alone Pod. I just changed our name to have an emoji in it. So before it was the Not Alone Podcast. Now it's Not and then alien face alone.
Of course it is.
Yep.
All right.
So that's Twitter at Not Alone Pod. Facebook, we are facebook.com/Not Alone Pod. And then Instagram, we're instagram.com/Not Alone Podcast. One day I will make our website usable again. Please don't go to it in the meantime. It is notalonepodcast.com, but it is terrible. So I'll fix that up and get that looking good shortly. And then, well, not shortly, it'll probably be months. And then finally, if you have anything you want to tell us, scary stories of your own, feedback for the show that you don't want to submit through anything else, if you're interested in just letting us know how we did, we always appreciate that. And you can always email us at notalonepodcast@gmail.com. We don't get a lot of emails, so I promise I'll respond. Yeah, Jason, anything else?
Nicer fan mail would be great.
If we could stop picking on Jason, it would be nice. No.
I mean, no,
Do it.
Yep. Throw all you got at me.
All right.
Just keep informing me more.
Oh, yeah. And then last thing, we didn't have any new Patreon sponsors this week. Not a problem. We still love you all. Not going to pressure you into doing anything you don't want to do. But if you do want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/notalonepodcast. As of right now, we have 2 extended episodes, 2 debriefs, and 2 bonus episodes up. By the time this comes out, we'll have 1 more extended and 1 more debrief. So, the max you're going to be paying is $5 a month, and you're getting, what would that be?
So much more time with us.
Yeah, you're getting 10
If you
10
really want
files
that.
a month.
I mean,
Yeah, 10 files.
there's only so much of you I can stand.
Who, me or the
Yeah,
listeners?
you.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
You, Sam,
that's
not our
rude.
listeners.
For
I
the
don't have
five,
one-on-one time with them.
for the $5 a month tier, you get the extra bonus episode. You get the debrief. You get the extended edition, and then you can go down from there. You can pay $1, $3, $5, whatever works, and you'll get on the $5 tier, you'll get 8 to 10 hours of content extra per week or per month. So yeah, if you want to do that, check it out. If not, tell your friends about us. Reach out to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't. And we will be back next week with our interview with the one, the only Linda Godfrey. Jason, I did it last week.
Remember, whether you're driving down a road on Halloween night or pigging out on some watermelon, we are
Not alone.